So much pressure. Welcome to WEMS News. My name is George K. from Homeroom 114. Today is Monday, October 29th, 2018. Our first story today is about climate change and how it will affect us now and in the future.
Welcome to WEMS News Team 4. Today is a wonderful day. Also today we will be talking about climate change and its effect on us. We have an interview with Mrs. DeBrinio. But before we get to that, I want to just talk to you about climate change. Climate change has a great impact on the Earth, and it's making the Earth more hot, which has a great effect on the Earth because things are getting hotter, more ice is melting, we're not going to have fresh water. So we can do something about it, but most of it we're causing and the Earth is causing. Anyway, here is the interview with Mrs. DeBrinio. Your opening question is, do you think climate change is real?
Yes, I do believe climate change is a real thing that is currently affecting the Earth as well as us on Earth. And we can see that just by the temperature changes that are going on, as well as the animals that are affected by those temperature changes as well.
Okay, that's pretty interesting. And I do believe in climate change, that it is affecting us. And I actually learned that by 2030, the temperature is going to go up by 2 degrees Fahrenheit, which could cause very destructive.
Yes, that is the largest increase that has happened since the early 1950s when we had our industrial age coming through.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you for participating in our interview.
All right. Thank you, Dylan.
Now for 10-second trivia.
10-second trivia. On average, how much Arctic ice was melted from 2002 to 2016? A, B, C, or D? The answer is C, 1,878 gigatons. And a gigaton equals 1 billion tons. So that means that tons of polar bears' habitats are getting destroyed and that sea levels are rising drastically.
That will be it for our 10-second trivia. Thank you.
This is my climate change survey, and these are the results. This is for question 1. That's for question 2. This one is for question 3. And we got a lot of responses here. This is question 4. Then right here, this is question 5 for the short responses. And then this is question 6.
Takes forever.
And this is the last question for the paragraph response. Anyway, thank you for watching this climate change survey results. See you back in the studio. Thank you.
This has been WEMS News Team 4. Have a nice day.
Wow! I hope that our generation can fix some of these issues with climate change. Our next segment will be about pollution all over the globe.
Hello everyone, my name is
I didn't know when to say
My
it.
colleagues and I are here to talk about the dangers of pollution and how it might affect the USA. First question, do you think pollution is a problem in the U.S.?
I do. I think pollution is a problem all over the world, particularly in the U.S. Or other advanced countries where we have the means to do something about it, and many times don't when we can.
Okay. Uh, Question number 2. How will pollution affect wildlife in the United States?
Well, pollution can contribute to climate change, and anytime you have climate change, you have species, whether it's plant or animal, being affected. If it's plant life can die out because of change in water availability, change in rainfall, or change in temperature. And then once plant life changes, then animal life changes. We're already seeing with the lack of ice shelf in the Arctic or Antarctic, some of the species there that usually rely on that for eating or sleeping, like seals and walrus, are already losing habitat where they can go.
What percentage of ground level ozone in the western United States is from Asia? 35, 29, 65, or 19? The answer is 65.
The reason why Asia's pollution goes from Asia to the United States is because this is above the 30-degree tropic line, so the winds will blow eastwards instead of westwards, and since the winds go eastwards, it brings all that pollution from Asia into the United States.
In 2012, Barack Obama made a rule to make vehicles more fuel efficient. It should save America's money, and America's oil would last longer. But now that Donald Trump is the new and current president, he wants to make cars great again. He wants the cars to remain how they are. The Environmental Protection Agency proposed to abolish Obama's rule. Safe, being safer, affordable, fuel efficient. They argue that cleaner cars are worse than dirty ones. Brad Plummer explained in New York Times the proposed rule in 3 arguments. Another argument stating that dirty cars are heavier. When heavy cars get into a crash, people driving it were less likely to die. This argument was proved wrong by David Greene, a professor at University of Tennessee. He told E! News, the problem with that argument is that it didn't take into account that all the light-duty vehicles would be lighter. That leads to a very simple physics equation. If all cars are lighter, there is less kinetic energy involved in any crash. Therefore, the force between 2 vehicles is reduced when they collide.
Pollution can be described as the contamination of air, water, or soil, and it can hurt living organisms. Pollution is one of the biggest killers in the world, affecting over 100 million people worldwide. Pollution kills almost 1 million seabirds and 100 million animals per year. The United States provides over 30% of the world's yearly waste.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's all we have for today. I'm Jimmy G, and see you in the next one.
With weather like this, sports may go downhill, especially with concussion injuries. Hopefully our players will be safe. Let's head on over to that. Wait, no, then you might get a concussion.
Here we are on the field. As you can see behind me, someone got a concussion and is now seeking medical help. I'm Freddie W. from News Team 3, and we're reporting today on the impacts of concussions and injuries in sports. He was knocked out by a fellow student who has wished to stay anonymous. The medical team is not sure how badly he was injured. He will probably have to rest and recover for a while before he can play again. He may experience clumsiness, vomiting, a bad headache, seizures, difficulty with mental and physical functions, etc. If his brain is bleeding, it could possibly be fatal. Since he is a minor, it might be more serious.
How long did your concussions last?
Well, I didn't have any concussions, but the symptoms that I've seen players that I've coached can last for a day, 2 days, somewhere around there.
How many concussions have you had or seen in your lifetime?
I've seen a bunch of concussions. I don't know if I've ever had a concussion or been diagnosed with one, but I've seen a bunch.
What happened to you after you had a concussion? Did it go away or did it just come back at certain times?
Well, the players that I've coached that have had concussions, some of them have just gone away after a couple days. Some have had symptoms that have come and gone and then came back, so they had to wait until they were cleared by a doctor to play again.
How many people get a concussion a year? 1, 2, 3, or 4? 1.6 million through 3.8 million. So in conclusion, if you get a concussion, you can experience symptoms such as vomiting, clumsiness, confusion, long-lasting dizziness, and seizures. Many concussions have been happening over the years, but they have been decreasing from the new rules and procedures. They also have Zenith, which is the special helmet that has shocked observers. Imagine what sports will look like in 10 years from now with the research we have from now.
Ouch, that hurt. Let's hope this story about exotic animals won't hurt as much.
Did you know that laws for buying and selling exotic and wild animals are very weak in a big portion of the United States? For example, Wisconsin has weak laws against exotic animals. The USDA approves their laws, while in Illinois the laws are very strong, because the Illinois Department of Natural Resources pushed for a rewrite of the state's laws and made them stronger. Millions of exotic and wild animals are being sold per year. Buying and selling these animals is a multi-billion-dollar industry.
Hello, I'm Ellie Antonacci. I'm here today to help you decide if exotic and wild animals should be kept as pets. If you don't know a lot about this topic, or you're interested in buying a pet, I'm here to give you a better idea of this topic. In just a moment, we will be heading over to Isabella Alvarado, who is visiting Hopetown Falls in Australia, to talk about the exotic animal trade process and why you should think twice about this subject. Now let's head over to Isabella.
We're here at the Hopetown Falls, Australia, with some pretty great animals. There's an amazing view over here. We're going to be talking about the exotic animal trade. Innocent animals are being harshly taken from their homes. While some wild pets have been bred in captivity, many exotic animals are being plucked directly from their native habitat. If they do end up making it to a residence, they have inadequate homes and crowded living spaces. To add on to that, many owners don't know how to properly take care of their animals. They end up hurting them more than taking care of them. Many of these animals are also very unsafe. The CDC Foundation estimates that 93,000 salmonella cases caused by exposure to reptiles are reported every year in the United States. Overall, these unique animals should be left in their natural habitats and left where they know what is best. This is Isabella Alvarado, reporting to you from Hopetown Falls, Australia. Back to you, Ella.
Thanks, Isabella, for that insight on how smuggling animals out of countries like Australia have impacted the lives of these animals. Now let's go to 10-second trivia.
Which animals are illegal to own in the United States? Wallabies, bats, chimpanzees, or hedgehogs? The answer is bats! Laws for these bats have regulations to stop people from keeping them in captivity, as well as buying and selling them. The transfer of bats is carefully regulated by the CDC. Also, even though only about 1% of bats actually carry the rabies virus, bats, like other wild animals, are still considered to be a rabies vector species, which is why there are special administration codes made by the Department of Health and Zoonosis Control that makes bats illegal and are used to keep people safe.
Wow, that was interesting. Let's take a look at my interview with Mr. Briniel. Okay, do you believe that there should be stronger laws for owning, buying, and selling exotic and wild animals in the USA?
Yes, I do believe there should be laws because as of right now, there are no federal laws actually regulating. It is all contingent on how states and what laws they pass for that. And I do think there should be federal laws for every single state saying that exotic/wildlife should not be kept at home by individuals, because I don't feel that they are equipped to handle everything a wildlife animal needs.
So do you think that exotic and wild animals should be treated better, or do you think unfair traveling processes and different things?
Well, most exotic animals, most, not all, they need a lot of space, and they are used to having an open area where they can roam. And when they're confined into a small space, their bodies can be stressed out, or they can have mental issues. So I don't think it is healthy for an animal to travel in small areas, such as an airplane, in a carry-on container, because it would just stress them too much.
So thank you for helping us decipher if exotic and wild animals should be kept as pets. Now back to the studio. That tops it off for learning about the smuggling, buying, and selling of exotic and wild animals. Overall, these animals should not be kept as pets. They are harmful and carry dangerous diseases that can hurt the animals and yourself. See you later. Bye.
Poor animals. They need some music to soothe them. Let's head on over to our last segment, art and music, to end on a happy note.
love music, and there are many types such as rap, techno, pop, classical, rock, and many more. But let's see why we love and feel things from music. Let's talk about that. Answer 2, what are the impacts of learning art and music? And if you find out answers to some questions, you can find out you become better at improvising, your learning skills increase, you gain better memorization, you became a much more creative person, and your emotions can change. Your brain is complex and has many jobs, and there is a brain circuit in your brain to feel emotions. Your emotions change by music even right when you were born, because if a mother sings to you, you start to bond with them. That is a result of music. The result of music causes our brain to make a biological pharmacy. Also, music causes dopamine that goes in your brain to control your pleasure center. Music can also help you gain better emotional understanding. If you learn music, you can have many jobs and careers. Music causes a higher IQ. Here we have Mr. Kennedy for our interview.
Thank you, Mr. Kennedy, for taking the time out of your busy day. How has music affected your life? Was it positive or negative?
Well, obviously positive. I think it started when I was singing at show and tell in kindergarten. I've always been involved in music. So I was in band and chorus. Then I decided to go to college and study music. And obviously I've spent the last 30 plus years teaching music. So it's been a strong influence and strong force in my life.
Wow. Favorite song artists, and why do you like them?
Song artists, lots of them. There are so many. Probably one of my favorite groups is a group called Green Day. I like their music. Some of it's been turned into a musical. It's easy to play. It's in music with a message too.
Do you have any favorite music go very well together?
Definitely. It's interesting if you look at art and music history, how they parallel. 500 years ago, music had to sound like music, had to sound good, and a painting had to look like a painting. Nowadays, in modern music, it can be like just a bunch of noise, and modern art can be like a bunch of scratches and scribbles.
Thank you for taking the time out of your busy day.
You're welcome. Glad to help out.
Hey guys, this is 10-second trivia. What do you think causes emotion when looking at art? You do not feel anything. There are more than just one reason. People have a change in their brain to grow to believe that it is really happening. All of the above. The real answer is 2. There are more than one reason. And 3.
Info about art. The impact of learning art is quite similar to the effect of music, such as, did you know that your brain begins to develop certain thoughts about art? And there are many as multiple ways your brain theories of changes to feel feelings from art, like your brain actually makes the thoughts that the deception is really happening, and the impact of learning art can help you get a job as an artist or teacher in the real world. And art is proven to keep you in school. So those are the impacts of learning art and music. So, I hope you're not scared like a balloon listening to pop music about the effects. We hope you learned something.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Wow, today we learned about climate change, pollution, sports concussions, exotic animals, and art and music. Maybe next week we'll learn about self-driving cars. My name is George K, and that's all for WEMS News. See you next time. What? I did work too.